It's Friday, March 27, 2020. Digital Trends Live is about to start here. Some of the topics we'll be covering on today's episode of the show. New voice assistant features are rolling out to smart home devices to help assess whether you should seek medical advice regarding COVID-19. We'll cover the latest updates from Amazon, and Australians may soon see AI-enabled pandemic drones monitoring public activity to determine not only potential fevers, but also whether people are sneezing or coughing. Plus, we've got some great guests, including country singer Jenny Tolman, who has turned her newly found downtime from touring into a new online cooking show called Quarantine Kitchen. And as so many people and children are at home and turning to online gaming, we'll be joined by Wyze of Star Stable Entertainment to talk about why girls love the online world they've created and to announce a new book series that goes along with it. All of that and more coming up on today's episode of Digital Trends Live. And hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. This is Digital Trends Live. I do appreciate all of you joining us. We broadcast live here every weekday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, bringing you trending tech headlines, news, interviews, discussions, and so much more. All while broadcasting live across a number of different platforms. We're on Periscope, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Dailymotion, Apple News, 2 different mobile apps, a smart television app, and at digitaltrends.com/live. So wherever you're watching, you can join in the conversations we get to have. Obviously, it's a new world for all of us right now. A lot of people working from home. We're working from my living room here, and the rest of the team is all in their living rooms or bedrooms or working from home as well. So we thank everybody who's joined us, and we appreciate you being here, and we've got a lot of entertainment for you lined up. But first, we need to catch you up to date with what is going on in the news. That's what we do here at the top of the show every day. So here's some trending stories for you to be aware of. And the first one has to do with voice assistants being enabled for screening for symptoms for coronavirus, so for COVID-19 in particular. So here's what's going on. Amazon's, I don't want to say it because I don't want to set off everybody's device at home right now, so I'll say your Amazon smart home device assistant is now enabled to offer advice as far as what's going on with this. So essentially you ask it, hey, can you walk me, some examples are, what do I do if I think I have COVID-19? Or blank word, what do I do if I think I have coronavirus? And then what will happen is it will walk you through a series of steps, ask you some questions about where you've been, what you've done. I tried it this morning with mine here in my house. And it's kind of an interesting thing to just go through it. It really, ultimately what it does is just says, if you really think that you have an issue, you should seek medical advice. It's not going to try to diagnose anything or give you any specific advice other than saying you should go see a doctor or here's what the CDC recommends. But still, it's another thing to kind of go through and alleviate maybe some anxiety that people have. Siri also has some of these abilities. Alexa, in addition to this, will also sing you a song for 20 seconds to help you wash your hands. That may be something that's good for especially kids. Be like, hey, play a song for a hand washing song, and it'll play something for 20 seconds to help remind you of that's how long you should do that. So again, just some different ones rolling out. You also have Google Assistant who has that as well. So there's some other features that they're rolling out, Siri doing this, and this all goes in addition to the CDC's chatbot that they have on their website. So a lot of different ways you can go to try to get some advice on what's going on. A large majority of it is they'll say if you do think you have something, seek medical advice from an actual doctor, but it's something else that you can go through there at home. So we see that coming out. We also see some other additions from tech companies, and that is a lot of free stuff. So a lot of the trials that we're used to that are normally 30 days if you're trying out new software are getting extended to 90 days. That includes streaming television, but also now Apple saying that they're going to have this happen with their Final Cut Pro 10, which has normally a 30-day trial. Now you can get it for 90 days. So if you're out there, you've been wanting to try this out, you're at home, maybe you got some extra time on your hands, you wanted to try to cut together some video or learn how to edit, this is a good time to get into this. They also have Logic Pro 10, which is their audio version, and that also has a 90-day free trial. So those are some pretty cool additions right there, and that kind of adds into a bunch of companies that are offering up things to help. Wyze also today announcing, so Wyze makes smart home cameras, and they made an announcement from their Washington, D.C. offices, where they are now home, from Washington. They're from the state of Washington. Excuse me, I know I'll get some emails about that. They're from the state of Washington, but Wyze has said that since they are all working from home now, they want to help out small businesses, and they're offering up potential free webcams to monitor your small business. Since a lot of people can't be at their office right now, you still need to be able to monitor it, and they're offering that up. It's on LinkedIn. You can go there, you can apply for it. So if you do have a small business and you're in need of a webcam to help monitor your office space while no one is there, check out what Wyze is offering. Kind of an interesting thing that they're doing. Continuing on here, we also have Google Duo, which is expanding a lot of what they're offering. So Google Duo is another one of these different ways that we can connect. And it's really a pretty good video conferencing, video calling feature. It's usually been more for, I think, up to 4 people. Now it's expanded up to 12 people. So they announced that that is rolled out. So as we're trying out these different ways to either hang out with coworkers or just with friends or socialize, as we're all working from home and under quarantine and maintaining this social distancing, this is another way that you can actually still connect with some people. So it's kind of a cool feature if you haven't tried that before. Now's the time to try it out. And that's kind of one of the interesting things with all of this is trying out these different apps and seeing different ways we can connect. So that's certainly one you can try there. One other thing, just to let people know, since we are all connecting online, and that's where we're having a lot of our business meetings, in particular with Zoom, this is just an interesting piece of news that came out from Dan Bartlett, who's the Executive Vice President of Walmart's Corporate Affairs. So Walmart, of course, a lot of people buying online with there. A lot of people are having their Zoom meetings now, and that's how we're all connecting. And it does appear that, according to them, the trend right now is for people are buying shirts and have them ordered, but not pants, because nobody really sees that when you're on your video conference meeting. I'm assuming everybody's in their pajama pants. You can't scroll down. You have no idea what's going on here. But I'm saying that it's just kind of an interesting trend of people just adapting to this new lifestyle of really it's business on the top. So that's kind of what we're looking at there. Interesting trend. Continuing on, some other news to let you know, and I'm just going to kind of hit you with these pretty quick because I know that we got to get to our guests here pretty quick. But we do have this. Is, if you're in Australia, this is something maybe we'll be seeing other places. You could soon be seeing pandemic drones flying in the sky. So these are AI-enabled drones from a company called Dragonfly. And what they're able to do, they've got thermal imaging on there. They've got AI software that can analyze behavior of people. So they want to use this to monitor groups of people and to see if they might have, they might be infectious or have respiratory conditions. And they can do this by monitoring your temperature. They can monitor whether people are coughing or sneezing and be able to point that out in the crowd and see if that's potentially somebody that has that. It's a weird feature to have. I mean, in this instance, I think that's a really good thing because obviously we want to stop the spread of this. But also, what happens with that kind of technology afterward? But that's what they're doing right now. So it's Dragonfly. They have used this tech before. They actually saved a life in, I believe it was Saskatchewan, or that's where they're from. They were able to save a life of somebody who was in a car accident, wandered off into the cold, and they were able to use this drone to fly and see thermal imaging and save a person's life. So they've used this tech for different things before, but that's what they're going to be doing in Australia. Continuing on, again, trending tech topics. That's what I want to get to you really quick here out of the gate. Another one is this. This weekend, there's going to be a big streaming event for Twitch. And this is one of their moves to try to raise money to help out organizations that are fighting coronavirus and COVID-19 and help out different medical organizations. So they've got it's called Stream Aid 2020. It's going to have a host of different celebrity guests that'll be joining it. They've got a bunch of people that are going to be on there. Diplo, Diantword's going to be on there. And then, of course, a lot of streamers in a lot of games, a lot of music, a lot of different concerts. So that's all kind of going with it. So that's something that you can pay attention to and watch this weekend. If you're looking for more entertainment, we're all streaming everything now, right? So that's another thing that's going on there with Twitch. Final thing, if you are looking for another game to play, this is one that's the features aren't quite out yet, but we got to see a little bit more of it. And if you remember, Microsoft has Flight Simulator for like ever, but it's gotten better and better, and they just released a video showcasing what some of the new features are going to be for Flight Simulator, where they're going to integrate actual real-time air traffic, which admittedly, there's not as much anymore right now, but real-time air traffic into the game. So when you're playing multiplayer online, you'll actually be flying around with, the AI versions of actual planes that are flying right then. They said they can do it for pretty much the entire world, so anything that's being reported on radar. And you can have also up to 50 multiplayer planes of other people who are also playing in the game too, so actual online gamers, but mixed in with the real-time weather and air traffic into the game. Kind of a unique situation there, kind of a unique use case, and I just thought that was interesting to bring up to you, but that's just some trending news. You can follow along with everything else at digitaltrends.com.
Hey, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. It's now time for the product of the day.
Yes, indeed. You need this. Product of the day. So we like to bring up something, as we're all working from home, we're all updating our work from home offices. This is something that I think that a lot of people could use. So this is a Logitech keyboard right here. This is one that actually connects. It's connected to my computer right now. I could use it, but I'm not going to press any buttons right now. But it does backlit, so the keys are backlit. So even if you're working in low light, say, you want to go work in your office, but you want to keep it a little bit dark in there, you can use this with illuminated light. It's got a key system, this perfect stroke, so does feel really nice. It's got the full keyboard. It's got the num keypad, which is actually a nice addition too. If you're working on a laptop, a lot of times you don't have that. It's got a 2.4 gigahertz wireless connection with one tiny unifying receiver, and that receiver that you actually plug into your laptop or your computer also will team up with other Logitech devices, so that's kind of a cool aspect there, that you can unify them all through this one USB receiver. You don't have to have a whole bunch of them. So cool feature there. Compatible with Windows computers, so if you're on an Apple, this isn't the one for you. There are other ones out there, but this one would work for you in that deal. So if you see that bit.ly link that is on the screen right there, you can follow that link to take advantage of the deal right now. And pretty cool little addition, pretty cool feature to add on there. So I want to make sure that you know that. That is your deal of the day. All right, we need to continue on here with Digital Trends Live because we've got a lot happening. We've got a lot of amazing guests, and that includes our next one. So certainly something that's been affected a lot by everything that's going on with all these events canceled is live music. We can't really have group concerts anymore, but with all of these amazing artists and their downtime, we see some live concerts happening. But what about turning to some other passions? And that's what we're going to be talking about next. We've got Jenny Tolman, who's a country music star, who has now started up a cooking show online. She's got time to do it, and it's pretty cool. It's always been one of her other passions. We're going to talk to her about that and how else she's been affected by this. So that's coming up next. Stick around. Back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler, and thank you very much for joining us. We're broadcasting live out of my living room. That's what we're doing as we adapt to this work-from-home lifestyle. But obviously, a lot of things have changed, and that includes concerts and events. We can't really have those as we used to before. And to talk about a different route that our next guest took, we've got Jenny Tolman, who is a country music star, but now also the star of her own show on YouTube. Jenny, first off, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Appreciate it a lot. I want to ask, and this is especially for you, being a performer, what would you normally be doing right now if we weren't all under this quarantine?
Well, traveling first off. So that's been a big one. All of the shows that we've had all over the country have gotten canceled, just like every other artist in the world right now. So it's been crazy for me just to be staying put this long because I'm not used to that. Usually I'm on the road and I come home, and even 4 days at home seems like way too long. I'm like, wait, what am I doing? Aren't I supposed to be going somewhere? So that's been the craziest thing so far, is just to be in the same place for so long, because it's so unusual to traveling artists.
Right? Yeah. I mean, that's got to be a shocker. Like you said, 4 days at home at a time. Now, home for a while. But you've done something pretty amazing with your time off. And I want to talk about your country music career, but I also want to talk about what you've created here with this. Talk about what the inspiration was for this show that you've created.
Yeah. So I just started doing this thing called Quarantine Kitchen. I have actually been gluten-free for 10 years, so I had to start it way back before it was cool. So it was not fun. And my mom and I actually started doing it together because we both had some health issues. But we had to learn how to make so much of our own food because back then there was really nothing that was edible that was gluten-free available on the market. And so it's always just been one of my side passions. I love cooking and baking. So I figured I was like, well, we're doing all these live concerts and we're doing online concerts and everything. So why don't we just incorporate something else that I love to do and that I'm doing a lot of because we're stuck at home and share some of the love and some of the good food that we've got going on in this house.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing what you've done. I want to say too, the production value is incredible for what you're filming there. I'm assuming that's your house.
It is my house, and it's produced by actually my music producer, Dave Brainerd. He also is the video producer. Dave has been my sweetheart for about 4 years, so we're stuck in this house together. So it's lucky for me that I have such a talented quarantine partner.
Right? Yeah, that's a good combo, you know, as far as the talent and creativity is concerned, for both of you to be in the same place.
Yeah.
Well, talking about it, you know, with this, what's the response been? I know that there's one episode up now. Are there multiple episodes up, or is it the first one's out right now?
Just the first one's out right now, but we shot 2 more yesterday, so there will be a couple more coming out very soon.
Looking at it from the music side of things too. Now, for you being at home and you know the creativity side of things and talking about the concerts. Now, you mentioned that live streaming some things. Can you talk about what you're doing in that aspect?
Yeah, so we've done about 3 or 4 live concerts already, and they've been a ton of fun. They're actually way more engaging and way more of the actual experience, getting to see what people are saying, because when you're live, you can hear their response through applause or through laughter or see their faces. But this is such a new experience to where they actually get to tell you in that moment what they're feeling or what they think and what you brought upon their lives at that moment. So that's been a really cool experience, just to get that instant feedback and be able to talk one-on-one with so many people at one time. It's pretty cool.
Is there any app or platform that you've been using more than another, or have you been trying them all out? I mean, I myself, just trying to connect with some of my friends, have been trying pretty much every online thing to have, you know, a group hangout. What have you been doing in that aspect?
Well, actually, and I'm probably way behind the curve on this because this is the most simple thing to do, but the multiple FaceTimes has been like my family hang the past couple nights. So we've been adding everybody into our FaceTime, but most of the concerts I'm doing on Instagram Live or Facebook Live, so through social media mostly.
Nice. As far as the career itself, I want to talk about that too, because obviously you've had some really tremendous success. You had your album debut at number 25. Where are you at on that, and what would you like your fans to know about what you're creating?
Yeah, well, it's been such an amazing, what has it been? Since July, we put the album out, and the response has just been so incredible. It's honestly more than I could have imagined at this point, especially for an independent female artist in country music. It's a little bit difficult times right now, and so to debut at number 25 on the Billboard charts was absolutely amazing. And Rolling Stone put out this amazing list of the top 40 country albums of 2019 at the end of last year, and it was number 24 on there. So it's just been really, really amazing response. And kind of like I was saying earlier about touring, that's been my favorite part of all of this. Because just like getting to talk with people through these online platforms and the live shows, my favorite thing about touring is that I get to go see these people and talk to them. And because I mean, why do we make music in the first place? It's always for the enjoyment and the connection with other people. So yeah, I guess this whole album it's kind of based in this imaginary town called Jennyville, and it's full of all these crazy neurotic characters, but they're very lovable. And so it's kind of a fun ride, and everything about it, even though there is this narrative going on, it is still associated with real life and stories from my life or my co-writers' lives. And so it's very tangible to everybody that listens to it. So it's just a fun journey to take everybody through and to experience it with everybody all at the same time.
Well, it's great. And the other thing I wanted to ask too, just once this is all done, talking about touring and being in front of live audiences, is there one place in particular that you have in mind that you want to play your first show out of quarantine at?
Oh man, the Opry. That's my dream.
Perfect.
That's my dream venue at this moment. The Grand Ole Opry would be ideal.
There it is. See if we can make that happen out of this. Well, Jenny, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. I want to remind everybody, Quarantine Kitchen, first episode is up. Like you said, more on the way. The website's right there. Certainly go check out everything Jenny is doing. And thank you so much for being here on Digital Trends Live.
Thank you for having me.
All right, that's awesome. So again, talking about what everybody's doing with their time at home, and that's certainly a creative way to do it. That thing is so well produced too, so definitely go check that out. We've got more coming up though, so continuing on here with the show, we've got more great guests, and I believe next we have Ciara Pressler, who's going to be joining us for another edition of Work Life to talk about that. So stick around, back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. Thank you for joining us wherever you are. We appreciate it. We broadcast live here every weekday. And last week, we were live at Pregame HQ for an edition of Work Life with Ciara Pressler. But now, I'm here in my living room. Ciara is joining from wherever she is at right now. And let's get her on the line. And again, Work Life, I love these segments. But Ciara, how are you doing in quarantine?
I'm doing great. I actually am kind of enjoying it. We are live from my apartment right now, so I'm doing okay.
Nice. Well, this is my living room. It's one slice of my living room. But I know that a lot of people are working from home right now, and there's a bunch of things that come along with that we're trying to figure out. And I know we've got a video to play of one of your fans who sent in a question. So let's go ahead and play that and then address what it was she wanted to know.
Work has shifted to being online all the time instead of in meetings. I was wondering if you had any tips on how to improve my video presence.
Right, so that is something that we're all trying to figure out now that we have to work from home, be in all these meetings, and then still somehow try to figure out how to be presentable. Ciara, walk us through some advice here.
Yeah, I mean, we are all using Zoom. I just want to shout out the Zoom team out there, Google Hangouts. The bandwidth has been great. The experience has been great for everybody. So thank you to all of you. You are also heroes in all of this. But very obvious that some people don't have a lot of experience on video. Greg, you and I, we've been on video more than the average bear. So let's share some of our best tips for that.
Yeah, that's true. I've seen some of the horror stories. There's videos that are circling around of people in Zoom meetings forgetting that everybody can still see them. There's some great ones. Just look them up online. But I don't want to be the victim of one of those, and I think a lot of people don't want to be one of those. So thinking about it from, I guess, the ground up, like somebody's working from home for the first time, they're going to be in video meetings. What's the first thing they need to think about?
Yeah, and the first thing you need to think about is don't worry about it. You know, we're all in the same boat right now. It's not just you. But people are judging you. They're at least making some assumptions about your nonverbal communication as always. So we want to help them make the right assumptions. So the first thing you need to do, of course, is eliminate distractions. You need to take out the background noise as much as possible. If you've got a pet that's really loud, or a child that's really loud, or a partner that's working across the dining room table from you, maybe it's time to make sure you're in a quiet environment, because sound matters more than anything.
So yeah, sound definitely matters. Thinking about where you're at, if you have one side of your house where there's a bunch of construction going on, maybe relocate to the other side of the house. I know that's something that I was dealing with earlier this week. So definitely that. So deciding where you're going to be. What's the next step people should think about?
Well, you still need to dress appropriately for what you're doing, from the waist up, at least, for whatever's going to be in the frame. I've been conducting some job interviews via video, not just in the last month, but for a while now. I do the first interview by video, and I'm shocked how people just show up in a t-shirt. I'm still looking at like whether you can present yourself professionally for this job. So make sure that you are dressed the part for what is appropriate.
Right? Yeah. If you're going into a business meeting trying to get some business or a job, like you just said, yeah, t-shirt probably not a good idea. Bathrobe definitely not a good idea. So thinking about how you're dressing, and then what's the next one?
The next one is lighting. So we do not need to see you in shadows. We want to see your beautiful face. So you want to make sure the light is in front of you, just like taking a photo. So make sure that the window is in front of you. The lights are on. You want as much light as possible. If the light's behind you, you're just going to be a shadow. Also, here's a very common one. Put the camera up at eye level, or even a little bit above, and that might mean you need to adjust where your laptop is or where your phone is. But we want the camera to be coming at you on eye level or a little higher, because otherwise all we're seeing is chins and the ceiling, and maybe even a lighter window behind you, and it just creates a lot of glare. So lighting.
Yeah, lighting, and I think that camera angle that you just mentioned too, because if your camera is shooting up like this, nobody looks good at that angle. I can just tell you right now, and plus then everybody's seeing up your nose. So yeah. Eye level. Good idea.
One
Good idea
chin.
on that.
You only need one chin.
All right, anything else that people should know?
Yeah. Again, think about your look, think about what you're communicating, because you want people to focus on your words and the spirit of what you're having to say. So right now, I'm just kind of like coming pretty plain. I just have a painting behind me. Shout out to Sunya Gibbs, the artist. But listen, I've got a little more formal meeting. I might want to like throw on a little necklace. Oh, wow. It's a whole new look. Oh, my landlord's trying to charge my rent still and all of this. Oh, I'm going to put on this jacket and start negotiating. Oh, now I'm going to be taken a lot more seriously, right? So, pay attention to what kind of vibe you're sending out.
Very much so. That is right. I am intimidated when you put that jacket on, so I would definitely give you the same rate. We're not increasing the rate. That's what I would do. All right. Well, so for everybody out there too, and I know that you've been doing a lot with pregame also, as to help people out. Where should we send people who now, with all of this, with this advice that you're giving them? What if they want more advice? What if they want more direction? Where should we send them?
Well, we are doing pep talks every single morning on Pregame Mag, which is our Insta and our Twitter. And that is a pep talk. You can follow the hashtag Pregame Your Day, and we will help you stay motivated and stay in the game.
It is awesome. And Pregame HQ, of course, follow along with what Ciara's doing. And you look great. Clearly, you know how to set this up right. And now we can help everybody else out with this advice. Very intimidated. And now, I mean, yeah, even more. Well, Ciara, thank you so much. I'll talk to you next week with another one of these. Thanks. Another one of these work-life segments. That's what they're called. Work-life here with Ciara Pressler. Really appreciate that. We've got all kinds of other ones, too, at digitaltrends.com that people can go and take a look at. So definitely highly suggest watching some of her segments and checking out her website. We've got more coming up, though. I know I need to get to a break because we've got coming up next from Star Stable, the head of PR. We've got JMBA, who to talk about Star Stable Entertainment, about gaming, about how much that is changing, some new things that they have being released, but also about gaming for girls, for younger girls. This is a whole platform that is huge. So we're going to discuss that and more coming up next right here on Digital Trends Live. Back to Digital Trends Live. Again, thank you everyone for joining us wherever you are. Hit the subscribe button. We're broadcasting live here every weekday out of my living room because that's where we're at right now as we all work from home, but we will be here bringing you all kinds of interviews and discussions, and we've got an interview right now. Very excited to have joining the show. We have Jane BA from Star Stable Entertainment. Jane, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So there's so much that I want to discuss with what you're doing, but I want to give everybody, in case they don't know, just a full understanding of what Star Stable is and what this world is that you've created.
Yes, absolutely. Star Stable is an online horse adventure where millions of girls around the world come together every month. They care for horses. They follow magical fantasy storylines. They go on quests, problem solving, and they meet friends.
And it's really interesting. I mean, I was taking a look at it and just how much is out there, this kind of open world for it. For people who don't know, you know, and talking about this world, you specifically mentioned that younger girls, which is a huge market that I think a lot of people don't realize are really avid gamers. Can you speak to that side of it?
Yes, absolutely. So when we started this game, when we founded it about 10 years ago, we felt that there was a community of gamer girls out there. And since then, millions of girls have registered to play our game, and they come back every month and play. And not only have we, and now we're actually live in 180 countries in 14 languages. So we know that gamer girls, it's a big community. And some of these girls actually, they've been so involved and loyal to our game that they grew up with it. And now we have hired them, some of them, because they know the game better than anyone.
That's amazing that they've played it so long that now they're working for you with the game. Within the game platform itself, what is it that they can do? And obviously, we're taking a look here at one of the trailers. You know, you get to have a horse. What else do they do within the platform?
So they go on horse. They discover a big, rich world on horseback. They can interact with our soul riders, which is a group of four. There they are, by the way, four in-game characters, which is like talking about sisterhood and the power of being together. These four soul riders, we try to make them as diverse as possible so that we can resonate with every girl. What else? So when you have your horse, obviously you can train it, you go on races. If you're into competing, which a lot of our games are, and girls are, and they want to challenge themselves, they can go on races and compete against the clock. They can compete against each other. But of course, there's also, and we see that on the screen, it's a big magic side to it as well. So if you're into fantasy and all that, the power of evil and good, it's a whole very rich story about that too. In fact, our game has more words than Lord of the Rings. So we know from a lot of players that they've learned to read thanks to our game.
That's incredible. I mean, just what a huge, robust world and online, activity that you've created here with this. Just to ask for some advice. I know there's a lot of people now that are at home with their kids, unexpectedly, and can't do a lot of things that they were doing before, so they're going to online gaming. When you look at picking out a game and giving some parents advice, what would you recommend they think about when trying to pick the right game for their kid?
I mean, I'm a parent myself of two teenage girls, 12 and 14, 15 actually. And I think as long as they are getting screen time, which is meaningful, where they can use their brain when they're active, when there's stimulation, I'm not too worried about screen time. So that's what I would look for in a game. And again, this game is, I feel, feeling a need of social interaction as well, just because you can really talk to your friends. You can join the writing clubs. We know that some writing clubs actually give a timing. Hey, we'll meet at 4 at the stable, and then they go on a writing quest together. So I think it really is important for me, and think for as a parent, that my girls stay connected and not feel too isolated during this time.
Yeah, I think that's something that's important for all of us. I mean, especially as adults, I'm trying to find out different ways to connect with my friends and via, video conferencing. This is something that's great for kids too, to maintain that social interaction that they need so much. But I know there's more to this too, with this whole world that you've created. You've expanded it. There's music associated, and I know there's a new book series. Can we talk about that?
Yes, absolutely. So we have seen, especially now in the last few days, that there's increased traffic to our game. We want to make sure that both all the new players feel welcome in this time, and that we have a sense of belonging. So we have organized a concert tonight with our in-game character, Lisa Peterson. Her voice, Amanda, will live stream live from her kitchen in the north of Sweden tonight. So that's just amazing of how we can all come together tonight, both players. The entire Star Stable team will be in this live stream. So that's lovely. And then also, of course, when you don't want to have screen time, you want to, there's books, there's music as well. My kids read the brand new Soul Rider trilogy, which actually came out on Tuesday in US. It's called Soul Riders Jorvik Calling. And we have released the first 5 chapters for free, just because we know how important it is to both get screen time, but also to get, mix it up, right? Read, dance, and play.
Wow, that's really cool that they're putting that out there and just adapting to what's going on. It's a weird time, but it's also a great time for everybody to learn more about what's online. And clearly with your platform, they can still interact, have social interactions. There's books to read. There's all kinds of different things. And that live stream is great. That's really cool that you're going to have the voice of the character live streaming with them. That's pretty unique.
Oh my God, yeah. She's amazing, but she's never had such a big crowd ever. I mean, we have a big Instagram account, and now she's going to be in her kitchen, so she's totally, she's totally energized by this, and so are we. You just miss it. It's in a few hours.
Right? It's weird. I mean, well, so I want everybody to follow along, just to give everybody just where to go to, not only for the game itself, but also for the Instagram account. Can you let everybody know what the best places to go are?
Of course. It's going to be live at 4 p.m. Let me see now. EST, 1 p.m. PST, I think. Sorry, you need to help me here. So
yep, that's right.
That's right. Yay, got it. So it's on Instagram. Star Stable Online is the handle. Make sure to join. It's going to be really, really fun.
Well, thank you so much for joining us here to talk about this, and really excited to have you on the show. Appreciate it. So everybody go check it out, starstable.com. Take a look at that live stream. I'm going to watch that just because I'm fascinated by that idea. Thank you so much for being here with us, Jane.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, bye.
And bye. And that's part of the great thing here about Digital Trends. I believe Jane is in Stockholm, Sweden, so that's where she was calling in from. So yeah, it's just fascinating here what we're able to do with Digital Trends Live, and go check that out. All right, we've got more coming up. So that was Stockholm. We're going to go to Colombia next, because that is where one of our freelance writers is spending his quarantine. And I don't think it was necessarily intentionally, but that's where he is right now. So we're going to talk about what that life has been like. There's a great article up at Digital Trends right now kind of documenting what he's been going through. So we're going to discuss that, and that's coming up next. So stick around, back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. Thanks for joining us wherever you're watching. We appreciate it. And I know a lot of people are watching from home as we go through the quarantine that much of the world is dealing with right now. But there's a lot of people that also weren't able to make it home. And that includes one of our writers, and that's Dan Ginn, who's joining us right now from Colombia to talk about his experience. Dan, hey, thanks for joining us. I'm glad you're able to. Can you walk us through from the beginning what happened here? Where were you at when this quarantine kicked in, and what kind of took place?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, first of all, Greg. So I was in Mexico, and I thought I'm going to go to Colombia for 10 days, scope it out, and things were quite relaxed at this point. And then after about 4 or 5 days, things got a little bit more intense. And now we're in a situation where the government have put the whole country, I'm in Medellin, but the whole country is in complete lockdown. We can't leave our house unless we are walking a dog, which I don't have, or going to the supermarket. Airports are closed. So I'm here, and I have no idea for how long.
That's crazy. I mean, it's something that I think a lot of us just aren't realizing, and we're forgetting that so many people are stuck wherever they were. So this goes into effect. I mean, I'm assuming, I believe just based on your article, which everybody should go read at Digital Trends, you were staying at an Airbnb. How did you resolve that when that happened? So it kicks in, they're like, you can't leave. What did Airbnb do?
So luckily, I was able to extend with the person who owned the Airbnb. Because I was already here, that wasn't that much of an issue. So accommodation wise, it hasn't really been a struggle. It was just a case of, hey, I was meant to be here for 10 days. Can I stay, indefinitely for however long this will go? I mean, I've booked till the end of April, but there's rumors going around that this mandatory quarantine could at least be going on until the end of May. So it's kind of a take it as it comes situation.
Well, and under lockdown like that, I mean, I know a part of the article talks about you getting out when you were able to get out a little bit more. Can you, before they went to the full lockdown? And there's some interesting things that you were mentioning, how you were walking down the street and you wanted to take pictures because obviously, you're a journalist, you want to be able to photograph everything that's going on. But there were some limitations that you had on that are really fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I usually shoot with a Fujifilm X-T2, and when you're in a situation like this, historically, crime rate does go up. People take advantage of the situation. So I left that camera at home. I decided I would be shooting with this. This is the 3.3-inch palm phone. But even then, using this camera, police are patrolling the streets. You kind of feel a little bit uncomfortable because they're certainly wary of your intentions. Why aren't you just going to the shops? Why are you stopping to take pictures? Are you working for foreign press? Things like that. So it was extremely difficult to kind of do what I do, both professionally and passionately, under these circumstances.
And I know as part of that, you were talking about, with this Palm phone, which of all phones, you have a Palm. But I love it. Clearly came in handy. The pictures look great. So you had to kind of sneak these photos. What was that like? And were there any harrowing circumstances that happened while you're trying to sneak these life shot photos?
No, I think the biggest hurdle was the psychological one, because you can't fully relax. I mean, at the point of when I was shooting with the Palm phone in Colombia, police presence was there, but nowhere near as intense as it is now. So I can't get away with it, but it's always that underlining, feeling of I'm detained. I mean,
Looks like we're having a little bit of an internet connection issue, which is not surprising where Dan's at there in Colombia. We'll see if he can get back on here in a second, then we'll do that, but he may have just broken up. But I mean, regardless, it's just really interesting to think about that prospect. As many of us are working from home in a way, we're kind of in the lucky side of things. So somebody who's stuck overseas, he doesn't know how long he's going to be there. Luckily, he's got a place to stay, but definitely a whole other aspect to think about when it comes to that. And what's going on. So I highly encourage everybody to go take a look at Dan's article there at Digital Trends. Some of the photos are amazing. They've even able to take with that Palm phone of all things, because he didn't want to bring out his actual really nice camera. Really great article, digitaltrends.com. Go there and take a look at that. So we're going to go ahead and go to break. Thank you very much, Dan Ginn, for joining us. We've got coming up next, though, we've got Ken Yeung from Flipboard for another edition of Tech Briefs, where we catch you up on some of the biggest stories in tech over this last week in about 10 minutes. So that's, well, the length of time is 10 minutes. It's going to be happening right after this break, so much shorter. Stick around. Back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. Well, hello there. This is Digital Trends Live. Thanks for joining us wherever you are. We appreciate it. We've been all over the place with this show today because we're bringing in guests from all over the world, and we do thank everybody who's joining us wherever you are in the world. Hit that subscribe button. Join the show. We're broadcasting live every weekday. But now it is time for another edition of Tech Briefs, where myself and Ken Yeung, the technology editor for Flipboard, joins me here to talk about some of the biggest stories in tech through this last week. I'm now here in my living room. Last week, I don't think I was. I was on location. But now it's my living room to Ken's living room, where we're going to talk about this. Ken, hello, sir.
Way to one-up me, Greg. I mean, it's like, hey, but you know what? You don't have the box, all right? You don't have the Ken Plus box. Like, what's going on here, man?
I do not have the Ken Plus box. I do have the globe, so I seem sophisticated. That's why I put that on there, kind of get a little bit of a worldly vibe. I don't know what it is. It's really just hanging out in my living room. I had to dust it off a lot. But let's talk about this. Let's talk about Tech Briefs. We've got some things to discuss. So since we are clearly online right now, and everybody is at home working and streaming online, one of the big concerns has been, can our internet infrastructure handle it? This has been a big concern that a lot of people have, so much so that we've seen some streaming services for video start to throttle their services, or at least reduce the quality from HD to standard definition. You see that in Europe especially. I think it was YouTube, Amazon, Netflix. They've all been doing that. And now we're starting to see a little bit of that come over here where we're in North America. We come over to here as well. Ken, what do you know about this? What do you want to talk about when it comes to down to the internet infrastructure?
Right. Yeah. So the internet is like, I think it's vastly different from, back in the day when, with 9/11 and the Great Recession, when you had massive unemployment over there, so around the world. So I think now we're in a time where people are, they're forced to stay home largely for coronavirus reasons. So this has actually put a tremendous strain on the internet around the world. The internet has, as we all know, has enabled us to kind of really be close to one another without having to, be near each other. We can FaceTime with our parents, with our loved ones, relatives, friends, and family. We can engage in on Twitter and Facebook and everything like that, just to make us feel like we're not alone in all of this. But all of that it still puts a tremendous strain on the actual infrastructure, and perhaps nothing more that nothing more is more intense than in terms of the videos, right? In terms of what we want to do to occupy our time, whether it's watching YouTube videos, streaming all these movies on Disney Plus, Netflix, Amazon Prime, all these services that are now making it easier for us to stay at home and consume content the way we want to do it. In turn, like as a result, in order for the actual internet to not shut down, a lot of these countries have asked these companies to say, look, can you guys help us out, reduce the quality of the internet so it's more accessible to everyone, so you're not just congesting the traffic. And a lot of these companies have been helping out and saying, look, we're going to now reduce the quality from HD to standard definition. It's for 30 days. And largely it's been in Europe, although it's expanded to Latin America. In the United States, it hasn't been that big of an issue quite yet. Although there are carriers such as AT&T that have said, look, this is putting a tremendous strain on our service, on our offerings. But they continue to offer support, saying like, look, we're still going to be able to maintain the internet connectivity, but at some point they might run into some sort of an issue.
Yeah, and I think that's something that we've probably seen with with Netflix went down for a little bit at one point, and you've seen some other things with services too, because everybody's on Zoom right now, and we're on Zoom right now. We're broadcasting via that or connecting via that, and a lot of other people are too. So it's just a lot of video, a lot of strain on there. So we'll have to see where it goes. But as you said, right now, okay, I know YouTube has switched theirs. When you start a YouTube video, it now starts in standard definition automatically. You can switch it to HD, but they're doing little things like that. So we'll have to see where it goes. I mean, worst case, if we have to watch things in standard definition, I think we can probably all survive that. We'll make it through. We will survive if that's what happens, just to maintain the internet. But going on from that, talking about entertainment, it is huge right now, and there's a bunch of different companies doing different things to offer these up, whether it's extended trial services. We talked about that, I believe, last week, where a lot of companies are extending the 30 days to be a lot longer. But we've got some other special things that are going on, like Amazon Prime Video, which is now streaming kids' movies and TV for free. You don't even have to have the service, I don't believe, to even use that. And things are changing so quick. That one, though, I think for a lot of parents, if they have kids at home, probably a really nice bonus right now.
Oh, absolutely. I think, look, these people, I think with students are probably among the hardest hit group, because they're not going to be in school for months. Like their academic year is over. So and they now the parents that have to deal with how to work from home or trying to figure out their income. They also have to factor in what are they doing, how are they going to occupy their kids' time, instead of just sitting around. So now a lot of these services, Amazon Prime Video, even Comcast, and I believe some HBO, I believe, and some other carriers are offering this type of entertainment for free. So you're not only going to be able to watch things on demand, as for Comcast, they're saying it's in preview, when you're on preview. So those type of things where they're like, hey, for a free week, for a whole entire week, you can watch all the HBO you want for free, that type of things. So it's like you just use the Xfinity remote to do that, to say, hey, look for free content, and you'll be able to consume a lot of that stuff for free. Comcast, I believe, or I'm sorry, Verizon is the one that's offering it, Stars and Epics, for free, but also a lot of education resources. Now, Amazon Prime Video, you're correct. Like they're offering their kids TV shows and movies for free. You don't need to be an Amazon Prime member to use that, and there's no specific time frame in terms of how long it's going to last. I guess it would be safe to go based on the a 30-day time period at least, to see how it goes. But I think this is going to be very helpful for those with younger kids, people that are bored at home and just want to not even consume the news and just want to be to watch something entertaining.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely a good addition. And you also have something like Amazon Prime with their new section. It's I want to make sure I get the name of it right, but I think it's Amazon Prime Cinema, which is where they're actually bringing in a bunch of, or Prime Video Cinema, Prime Video Cinema, where they're bringing in a bunch of movies that are actually in the theaters that are now available for rental too, because we're seeing that whole shift in entertainment with obviously no theaters open. The box office last week was 0. So that's something that's going to be an interesting development too, to see how that changes, how all that streaming content changes. Going from that though, another thing that everybody's doing right now are figuring out how to connect with people online. And obviously with coworkers and for work meetings, that's something to figure out with Zoom. But there's a lot of other things too. If we're all isolated in our homes, the one great advantage of the internet is going back to social media and figuring out different ways to connect with each other. And I've been doing it myself. I've had meetings with friends over Google Hangouts, over Skype, over Zoom, and a couple of the other ones too that we're going to talk about right now. But one thing that Instagram is doing, launching a new feature with this co-watching feature, which I have not tried yet myself with somebody else. But what exactly are the features with it?
So apparently this is a thing. I've not encountered this issue myself where you can actually do video chat on Instagram and actually watch each other scroll through the app. That's largely what the co-watching is, and maybe that's a thing for people. You know, I kind of get it in terms of like, look, if you're missing your friends from school, you know, you want to have these video chats. Sure, it makes sense to do that. So you can kind of scroll through someone's feed and talk about, you know, somebody, you know, so-and-so's post or that celebrity that you're following, you know, like, hey, I can't believe, you know, check out this video from, you know, from Kanye or from Sally from, you know, fifth period, you know, I can't believe she posted this. Oh my God. You know, it's all these type of things that you can still maintain some sort of a normal, some sort of normalcy in this time when we're largely isolating and quarantining ourselves. So I kind of overall, like just at face value, it kind of seems weird, but you know, there is some interesting opportunities for this, especially for the younger people.
Right. Yeah, you see that with Instagram. You got Google Duo now adding it so where you can have 12 people in one Google Duo meeting. And then you've got other apps like House Party, which is one that came out, and I've tried that one too. Actually, the Digital Trends Live team, I believe we're all on House Party now. So we've been testing those out, which is an interesting one. You can actually play games with other people while you're on that one, and that's an app that's been around for a while, but now is getting a whole bunch of downloads and resurgence because we're all figuring out different ways to connect with each other. And then you have one like Quiplash, and I know we're running out of time, but Ken, really quick, can you tell me what Quiplash is?
So Quiplash, I mean, so as we're talking about all this old, everything old is kind of new again. You know, that's kind of the method in terms of technology. So yeah, House Party's been around for 2016. A lot of these technologies are allowing you to communicate with each other. But you know, as you're communicating, it's one thing, but you need to entertain yourself as well. And one thing I found out, and apparently, you know, so Quiplash has been around for a bit of time. I don't know exactly for how long, but it's a very engaging game. It's like a Cards Against Humanity, but online, kind of like on online in a manner of speaking. You don't actually have to be virtual. You can actually be in the same room, but you need to have a different device. Everyone has to have their different device, and you get tossed these questions and you answer in however way you want, right? Think of it, if anyone's played Cards Against Humanity, you know, it can be as serious as you want or as ridiculous and profane as you want, right? It's depending on who you're playing with. And then the players vote like on which is the best answer based off of a series of questions. And obviously the points are awarded to whoever wins. So it's not a never-ending game from my experience playing it. So there's a limited number of rounds for each game, but you can actually create your own game as well. But I mean, in this time when we're self-isolating, I think this is a lot of these kind of games that we kind of were flocking to online back in, you know, like the early 2000s or even late 1990s. You know, this is the time where, you know, we're like, oh, let's play like Family Feud online, right? Or you know, like, right. You know, whatever, like Jeopardy or Wheel of Fortune, whatever, you know, all these type of things, you know, that you know, all these, everyone wants to play games with each other to pass the time. But if you can't do it in person, you know, why don't we do it virtually as well? You know, it's almost like, you know, you don't know Jack, that type of game, but virtual.
Yeah.
But okay. Of course, it have like, yeah. So I mean, there's all these. We're gonna start. I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of these type of resurgence, and you know, Facebook maybe Facebook decides to pick up their gaming offering again and kind of, you know, makes it more prominent. Who knows, right? Maybe also with Google or YouTube.
Right.
But there's a lot of these old technologies that are going to be having a nice little renaissance.
It's pretty cool trying to see where that's all going. And Ken, as always, I want to say thank you for joining me here and joining us. This is Tech Briefs. For everybody who's watching live, we also have a podcast. So download the podcast. We've got lots of episodes for you to listen to of Tech Briefs wherever you get your podcasts. Ken, thank you so much. Still waiting for my Ken Plus subscription, but I know it'll be coming soon, and we'll have to have a big announcement for that. Ken, thanks a lot.
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate it.
All right, that is Ken Yeung from Flipboard. So again, check out everything that Flipboard has to have as well. I mean, it's a great place for content. They also have Flipboard TV too, where this is on there too. So try that out. All right, that's what we have here for today. So I want to say thank you to everybody for joining us. So a couple of things. One is this. Hit subscribe. Wherever you're watching, wherever you're getting this content, we appreciate it. We appreciate you joining us. We're live here every single weekday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. So follow along. Whatever platform you want to watch on, we'll be there. And we'll be bringing this to you throughout whatever's going on. However long the quarantine lasts, we'll be here coming from my living room because our team is working really hard wherever they are at their homes to make sure that this show gets out to you. And so we enjoy bringing this to you. We enjoy you being a part of it. Also, follow us on Instagram. We may be doing some more special things. I want to say this for Instagram. Possibly later on today, you might get a tour of the DT live set, which is my living room, and a few other things too. So follow us on Instagram for that. And also next week, we've got some other special things we're planning for you. Definitely this show every day, perhaps a little bit more too, because we want to make sure that you're getting some entertainment and some technology news and some interviews and really fascinating discussions. And that's what we love bringing you. So hit that subscribe button. And I think that's it for today. So thanks for tuning in. I'm Greg Nibbler. I'll see you right back here in my living room on Monday.